Hi there. This is Michael White. I'm really looking forward to talking with you guys tonight. Tonight, you just have me. Anthea couldn't make it tonight, so I didn't want to cancel on you guys. I wanted to guys give you the episode that you deserve and everything. So this live stream might be a little longer than normal, but we're gonna make sure that there's a high level of equate value in this episode. So I really want you to get comfortable. You're going to hear a story about me, the podcast, all of it. We're going to share a video today, which I think is very important, which we're going to break down. So I really want you guys to strap in for today's episode. The reason why this Love and Relationship podcast was started was due to a breakup that I had 2 to 3 years ago. I don't want to dive too much into it, but I broke up with somebody and I was lost. I was sitting there contemplating why all of my relationships end the way that they did, right? Majority of the time, it was always the women breaking up with me. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I'm perfect. I broke up with one or two of them, but majority of the times the women were leaving me. And I never knew why. Right? So I went into what you would call monk mode. I stopped dating and I took the time to go and figure it out. And that's when I came across amazing books on relationship and dating dynamics. Books like Way of the Superior Man, No More Mr. Nice Guy, books by Rollo Tomasi, Masculine Positivity, and plenty, and I mean plenty of YouTube channels being watched. Just to list off some of them, Just Pearly Things, Fit X Felix, Stefan Cold, Stefan Speaks, Austin Dunham, a lot of people that I listen to on a regular basis, Eight at the Table, the Q Pill. So when I threw myself into this, I don't like to call it the Red Pill community or whatever. It's just conversations being had. My eyes were like open, right? Certain revelations were like given to me. Like my relationship ended in this one because I was too much in my feminine energy. This one ended because I didn't know how to lead a woman. This one ended because there was not really a true, genuine connection. And I only dated her just because she looked good. You know what I mean? And it put a lot of missing puzzle pieces. Like if we were to look at a board of puzzle pieces and you saw one's missing, getting access to this information filled in those puzzle pieces. So with that being filled, I said, look, I need to start a podcast on some of this stuff because I said, this was stuff that was never shared with me when I grew up. I was very, I wouldn't say sheltered, but more as a sense of this information wasn't as available as it is now. So what happens is I partnered up with my co-host, Anthea, and her story is kind of similar to mine. It's like just relationship issues and problems. And I said, well, look, people come to us for relationship advice, even though like our relationships are like battleships, like blowing out of the water. But people trust us enough to share their intimate details about their relationships, why they've ended, and they feel secure with us. So I said, why don't we start a podcast on it? Right? And we could react to certain videos. We can have certain discussions, things that, that people need to know about or actually rethink when it comes to their dating styles. Right? And things like that. So I think this information helped me, number one, find myself as a man, right? Because I didn't know what masculinity was. I didn't know how to express it because I was told masculinity is toxic. So I was like, okay, don't express masculinity. Women hate it, right? So I just learned to be very passive. And anybody that's known me, like when I was younger, little older, saw that I was very passive. I didn't like problems. I liked very peacefulness, things like that, right? But the thing is, though, that passiveness cost me a lot of job opportunities, business opportunities, dating opportunities. Like I would still get them, but the girls would never stay. They're like, this guy's great, but he's so passive. He's afraid to speak his mind. He doesn't have a backbone. You know, he's afraid that if he speaks up, that maybe I might leave him, like whatever it is, because a lot of guys deal with a lot of those issues. So being passive in a relationship never won me any brownie points. Overly pursuing never won me any brownie points. Constantly complimenting never won me any brownie points. But what did is doing the self-reflection and not making myself like every other guy, but also feeling comfortable with who I am as a man and my masculinity. And I'm not running around here saying beat your chest like Donkey Kong. Like, I'm not saying do that. What I am saying is learn to have a backbone, learn to have an opinion, learn not to be afraid to share that opinion, and be true to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, once you can do that, things become a lot easier for you, especially like in the dating. Like you get more calibrated. You learn to tolerate less. You learn to enforce your boundaries. Like you learn all of these different things that are great skills to have and tools to have as a man that you can put in your belt. So you could be more effective with women, because women are complaining that there's no good guys out here, that they're looking for strong masculine males, and there's none left. But if you build yourself up into one, now you have the selection. And it's not like you're doing it for them. And I want to make it very clear. You don't do it for a woman. You do it for your own eternal peace, right? So you don't get swept under the rug. So you don't get passed over for job opportunities. So you enhance and increase your value as a man. And that's what I've learned to do every single day. Increase my value as a man, right? So it's made life a lot easier to not be so fearful to be masculine. So this podcast was really built off of enough is enough. How do I figure this out? How do I put this into a podcast, into something that can help men and women come together? You know, what to look for in a woman. These are things that I didn't know, because when I was dating, at the time, I'm like, oh, as long as she looks pretty, that's all that matters. But I wasn't focused on substance. You see what I'm saying? So then a lot of the relationships would fizzle out because I didn't know how to build a true connection. And throughout this, like not this live stream, but through our next coming live stream, more and more is going to be revealed. You know, growing up in a single parent household, only mostly learning the feminine side of things. Like, I am going to discuss a lot of these things and open the book for our audience, because they're so supportive, so loving. And we want to be able to give them the podcast that they deserve, number one, but we also want to share our experiences, what got us here and where we're going. So with that being said, please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. You know, we greatly appreciate it. You guys can help us get to our numbers, and we're going to throw a party. Once that happens, as I said, we're going to be reacting to this amazing video, which is wants versus needs. Now, I think a lot of times most people don't understand the difference between the two. Like, let's say, for example, like I want a piece of cake, right? But you need air, right? Without air, you cannot live. So I think a lot of times people have to learn to differentiate. When you get into a relationship, there's certain likes where you're like, oh, I'd like this. Like, let's say you're like, I'd like to be taken out on dinner dates, like let's say 4 times a week, but I need, let's say for a woman, she says, I need a man who is intellectual, like can have a conversation, knows how to talk to women. I need that. If I don't have that, I can't stay in the relationship, right? It's the same thing with a guy saying, I'd like a woman to be like dressed up nice all the time, right? Like nobody wants a gremlin, but I need a woman who is compassionate, understanding, and agreeable. You see the difference? Like you're willing to trade off on one for the other to get what you really, really want. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I like certain things in a relationship. It's like, oh, that's nice. Like, that feels good. Like when your girl tells you, like, oh, you look nice today. She compliments you, makes you feel good. But like, let's say like there's a certain need that I fulfilled is like that level of compassion, that level of I trust you, that level of you make me feel secure. You see what I'm saying? So it's for me, as I said, it's understanding the difference between the two. So this gentleman's actually going to break it down, and then we're going to break down his video. So I'm going to play the video. We're going to break it down, and I'm really looking forward to diving deep.
The difference between a relationship want and a relationship need. Let's discuss the difference. A relationship want, we all have them and we should have them. When thinking about a relationship want, we should think with the mindset, what will make me happy? Because we all deserve to be happy. It's important to keep in mind that we should distinguish between what we want from what society and what others may want for us. Don't worry about being superficial. These are your relationship wants. They're an expression of who you are and what makes you happy. So you shouldn't be ashamed of them. And I hate to break it to you, you're probably not going to get all your relationship wants from your future partner. No one is perfect, and you can't get everything from one person. However, you should expect to get your relationship's needs met. So what's a relationship need?
Now, I'm unmuting it because he said something very important. We go into relationships thinking that this person's going to give us everything that we need. They're not. Nobody can fulfill all your needs. I wish I had the rewind button, but not everybody can fulfill all your needs. So when you go into the dating, understand, and I like to use the 80-20 rule, as long as they fulfill 80% of your needs and then like 20% of your wants, you can make it work, right? But most people go in expecting this person to fulfill everything, and it's just not possible. So now he's going to break down relationship needs are non-negotiable.
Those are the non-negotiables. Those are the essential things that you need to make a relationship work. For instance, let's just say having children is very important to you. It's a non-negotiable. It's the very thing that will make you happy. And let's just say you meet somebody who doesn't want children. So it doesn't make sense to waste your time and energy to pursue a person who's not going to be able to fulfill your relationship needs.
Yes. See, I also want to break down what he said here. He gave a beautiful example. If you need to have children, like that is like a need for you. Like if I'm not having kids, like it's not working. Why are you dating somebody that A, doesn't want kids, B, you guys are not having the discussion about it? So if you don't talk about it, your time is being wasted. You need to know where they stand on the matter on if they want kids or not. But what I've seen a lot of people do is try to convince somebody to want what they want. And that's the worst. If they don't want what you want, don't spend the time trying to convince them to want it. If you say, hey, like marriage is important for me, that is a need for me. And the other person's kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter to me if I get married or you're out. Because it's not a need for them. For them, it's kind of like, it's whatever, right? And it doesn't make them a bad person. I want to make that very clear. It doesn't make them bad. But What is important is that we understand that that person is not suitable for our life, right? Because if your need is one thing and that's not the same need for them, how is the relationship going to work? You're going to end up begging them for kids. As a woman, you want kids and you're going to end up begging them. You're a man, you want kids, you're going to end up begging her for children. What? You're in a relationship begging this person? Come on now. Let's be realistic here. So let's let the guy continue his video and then we're going to give a conclusion.
Too many of my clients stay in relationships way too long when they know the other person's not going to fulfill their relationship needs. So it's important and to respect yourself and the other person to learn to let.
I love what he said. Sometimes we're staying in relationships longer than we need to. Longer than we need to. Think about it. I'm not telling you to kick the person to the curb, but at the same time, they gotta go. If your basic needs, whatever your needs are, for everybody, it's gonna be different. If your basic needs are not being met, you have to learn to let go. There's power in letting go. Why are you gonna hold on to something? And this is for guys and girls, for somebody that doesn't want to go in the direction you're going. And that's like pulling a horse to drink water. They don't want to do it. It's not a priority for them. So you're wasting your time staying in a relationship where your needs are not met. Now, I know it sounds like, sounds dry. It sounds like non-redundant, but this information can literally save your dating life. It's going to save you time. Because a lot of times you're dating people who make you feel good, but that are not good for you. So that is something very important to remember.
Let go when you know that someone's not going to fulfill your relationship needs. So what's a good way to figure out your wants and needs? Well, I encourage all my clients to write a list of all the traits that they want in an ideal partner. Those are your wants. Then go through that list and circle all the traits in which are non-negotiable, the essential traits that you absolutely need. Those are your needs. No, your list may evolve, and that's okay. Your wants and needs may come and go. But the most important thing is that you have a list and that it's clear. So when dating someone seriously, take out that list. Make sure that they're going to be meeting your needs first. If so, continue dating, and hopefully they're going to be meeting some of your wants as well. I value your input, so please feel free to share some of your comments below. Good luck and happy.
Okay, yeah, with that being said, and we're going to wrap up the video soon, wants and needs change as you get older, right? So as you get older, like let's say you're in your 20s, your needs might be different from when you're in your 30s. So I do want to make that abundantly clear. But I think if you are intentional about your dating, because most people are not, they just like to date silly willy and not take it serious and say, well, I like this person, because dating, the point of it is to lead to something bigger, right? It's not to just goof around, waste people's time, because then you're sitting there doing
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You're wasting so much time and energy for someone when you can just say, hey, look, I want this, you want something different. We need to go in different directions. And I honestly think that's the one thing that helped me, because I didn't know the difference between the two. I'm like, wants and needs, they're the same thing. No, they're not. Needs are non-negotiables, things that you are not willing to compromise on. But I see too many people compromising, and they're taking a loss because of it. Because when you do more compromising because a person makes you feel good, they give you a feeling, you end up being in a relationship where you're miserable in. You end up being so unhappy because every time you compromise, you're cutting off a piece of yourself for them. Instead of being honest and saying, you know what, we don't work for each other. We don't. If you were to put you two together and you guys were to go the distance, what is the relationship built off of? Nothing. Because there's no commonalities, there's no similarities, there's no nothing. So the relationship is built, it's like building a house on sand, right? The relationship will never progress where it really needs to go. And that, to me, is the most heartbreaking part. As I said, I've made that decision multiple times, crossing the two wants and needs, compromising on my negotiables. Like, there were people I dated, like pre-dated. I had a great relationship with God, loved it. They liked me, got in a relationship with them. Relationship with God died. You know what I mean? There were certain things that I would do, like pre-dating, love doing, like playing video games with the boys from time to time on the weekends, just all this fun stuff. Got in a relationship, died. Because the other person, like, they became my focus. And I ended up losing myself for a relationship. So once that relationship leaves, then it's like, well, who are you now? You've invested your soul energy into this. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but what I'm saying is you compromise your identity to get this relationship. And then when the relationship ends because of too much compromise, now you're sitting here. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This heartbreak sucks. All of these things, right? So I always like to tell people, be wary on who you date. You want to date slow? Date slow. But understand that when you go in and you date this person, you're not supposed to vomit your wants and needs on them. Like, bleh. You're supposed to say, hey, you know, like, I'm kind of looking for someone that wants to drive in this lane, you know, marriage, kids, whatever it may be. And if they say, well, I don't really want those things, then it's very simple. They get off the exit. You stay on the highway, they get off the exit. You say, hey, look, I like you. You're a great person, but I need you to exit on the right. Because we are just not aligned. And you shouldn't feel bad for that. You shouldn't feel bad that someone is not a good fit for your life. They are good for you because in other aspects, they make you feel great, but they're not good for your potential long-term life. So I really want people to have the high level of consideration to make better choices when it comes to their dating, but also understand what it is they need. I use the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule is they fulfill 80% of the needs, and then the rest of it is just extra wants, you know, like they compliment you all the time, make you feel good, but you don't compromise on the needs, because when you compromise on the needs, you're settling. That's what you're doing. You're settling. You're saying, I can settle for this. And who wants to settle? I don't, but I have. I'm not going to lie to you. I've settled multiple times, and it's brought in tears to my eyes that I have settled. Because I said, this isn't me. But because I want what they have to give, I'm willing to compromise to get it. And that's the thing. You shouldn't have to compromise to get your needs fulfilled. Now, are there negotiable things? For sure. But your needs should be the things that you don't compromise on, right? Like, for example, I wouldn't date somebody that doesn't have an active lifestyle at any shape, way, or form, not just gym. Let's say they went to the gym, that's great. But let's say they did other things like dancing or other things that they were active. And I date them, I'm compromising on my need. I'm like, well, you know, they do make me feel good. But in my heart and soul, I know that being with someone that lives an active lifestyle is super important to me. So then it's like, I'm sitting there. What are you doing? Why are you compromising for this person? Right? And what have they compromised for you? But it should never be your needs. You see what I'm saying? A want, yeah, you can compromise. All my girl doesn't compliment me all the time. Cool. But she fulfills like all these other baskets. She's agreeable, willful cooperation, great for a woman. Yeah, you know, he doesn't see me all the time, twice a week. But when he does, like, it's amazing. and he fulfills all these other buckets. So those are the things that I would tell you guys to morally focus on, because you end up hurting yourself. And every time I talk to people, all I hear is, I compromised on my needs every single time. And it's like, but you've been doing this in every relationship you've been in. You've always compromised. I'm not telling you shouldn't, but not when it comes to your needs. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate you joining me for this live stream. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe our videos. We post reels, we post shorts, we have a clips channel. We are on every social media platform, even TikTok, we're there. Love the content, support the content if you rock with it, because we are going to take this content to the moon. We're going to give you coaching. We're going to give you merch, which we're working on. We are going to go to the moon with this, right? Because I want this information to get out here to guys and girls. I want to see, when I walk down the street, people dating healthily. I want people to be dating so well that it puts me out of business, because they're dating so well. We're not having all these issues in a relationship. No situationships. It's just, that's what I want to hear. You see what I'm saying? And that's what genuine coaches want. Real genuine coaches, dating coaches, life coaches want to get people back to a place where they're dating healthily. So it's like, you do put them out of business. In a way, it's a metaphor saying we helped ease the problem of people dating incorrectly, because they either had a lack of information, they didn't have the best information, or they just didn't know. So that is to wrap up today's show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. When I come on these live streams, it's never just to rant. It's never just to rave. It's to educate. It's to say, hey guys, this is where I suffered greatly. And because I didn't have this, X, Y, and Z happened. But because now that I have this puzzle piece, now X, Y, and Z is happening, where it's getting better over here. And that's what I want for you guys, is for it to get better over on the right-hand side, and not be repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Because it's like, how many times do you have to learn the same rotten lesson over and over? So look, we love you. Take care. And we will see you guys on Friday.